Okay, hey everybody, so this is going to be the news update for 11.9. I almost completely forgot to do this, but we'll go ahead and get this out of the way. So, once again, unscripted. Eventually we'll script these, yeah, etc., etc. So, for news, one, this is not the live page for the site. I will be pushing this up here a bit later. I gotta do some more corrections and stuff. But this is a rephrase of things I've said over the last couple weeks on YouTube and Twitter and stuff. Um, I'll be making a deal with you guys. I don't know if I said this in like the last news video, but the more donations you guys put forward, the longer I work per week. You guys can keep donations up, you can keep downloads up, you can keep contributions. It doesn't have to be money-based contributions. I'm more than happy to have somebody help me with the wiki or language translations or something. Something that keeps the projects going and helps everybody out. So the more of that I get, the more I will continue to work on these projects. I'm not going to dedicate more than over 50 hours a week as I have to sleep and get schoolwork done and do other things. But right now I'm going to start with about 15 to 20 hours a week. This will be a pretty good phase. I'll be working about from 3 to 5 hours a day from Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sundays I will not be working on mods unless there's absolutely badly needed bug fixes that need to be done. This way I can get schoolwork done, of course. Um, but as I said, more you guys donate, more I will work on this stuff. But after I get everything updated, I'm going to actually be dropping that number of hours down from 15 to 20 to lower. This is where the donations and stuff come in. If you guys can keep donations up, I will actually work more. For every $10 a donation I get globally, so this is from everything. This includes donation. This includes ad revenue, everything. I will put an extra hour per weekend, up to a certain point. Donations will actually be used not for me personally, so that money, that $10 is not going to me directly. Maybe $1 or two might, but most of it will be going to helping everybody else on the organization. Several of our developers need better computer equipment. Most of them are working on laptops that were built way back in ages and are having difficulty running various things. For example, I have the only computer in the organization that can run Minecraft 1.10 at the moment. A lot of the other developers cannot actually load up the game. And even though I can load 1.10, I run out of memory a lot when I actually run larger packs. Because even though it may not look like much, so people are like, hey, well, 1.10 only uses anywhere from 4 to 8 gigabytes of RAM. Well, I have 16 max, 2 is used by the system. When I'm streaming, I end up using another 2. The dev kit I have running uses another 2. So as you can see, clearly my RAM number is going down. Now I'm at 10 just doing nothing. And then you got to consider the fact there's residual memory, and then mods like ICBM actually hog memory a decent amount. Every time a detonation goes off, I create about 32 bytes worth of information per block processed. So 1,000 block radius will actually use 32 megabytes. That doesn't sound like much until you set off like 10 of these and all of a sudden you're getting up into the gigs of RAM usage. Even though this memory disappears almost as quickly as it's created, it is a problem. In 1.10 this doubles. This goes up to 64 bytes of information. That's a lot of information to worry about. That's another reason why we haven't updated to 1.10 and why we're trying to acquire better equipment for everybody in the organization. Because right now we want to get our modeler a better computer so he can actually model without a problem. We want to get our server tech a better computer so that way he can do more than just work on servers. He can actually start to help us out with everything else because I'm currently teaching him how to program. But ignoring that, because that's not a cry for donations, I'm actually okay if you guys don't donate. It's entirely optional to you. Don't feel pressured. If you got other things you need to spend your money on, make sure you spend that on. Don't help out the organization if you can't help out yourself. But moving to the plan. So outside of that, I do have a plan for getting mods out the door. I'm going to be working on every mod about 2 weeks each, moving up to the release date of Volts. Volts is expected to be released 12/18. That's our goal. That's when I want to get it out. This is the date I'm going to officially be sticking on. I've said a few other dates before this, but this date, which is listed on this page, is what I'm going to go with. I'll probably work on this more, so this date may be pushed up a little bit. It all depends. Right now, this week, I'm going to be releasing the rail system and ICBM. The rail system has actually been moved to assembly line. This is where assembly line revived. This is officially being revived now. So I've moved it off of the dead mod list. So the first version will be released this week. Will be an alpha version. It will not have much content. I'll have one robotic arm and it will have the rail system, which I just made for ICBM. Both of those will be used for ICBM's automation, so don't expect a huge amount of content at assembly line. And that's the reason why it's an alpha version. But yeah, so we'll be releasing a new version of ICBM this week as well. We're going to be polishing these really heavily. Next 2 weeks, I'll be working on Armory mod. This will be guns, armor, everything. I will also be squeezing in assembly line and ICBM into this while I work on this, because this isn't going to be too heavy. About the first week is going to be mostly coming up with the JSON processors and getting basic gun physics out of the way. The second week is going to be basically fill in the blank and making models. Don't expect a huge amount of guns in the first couple releases because I have to wait on my asset developers to make resources. And even though they can work quickly, I don't have somebody who can do textures at the moment, which is problematic because I can make a model which looks cool, but then you won't have a texture on it, which then makes the model look bad. And I'm going to try as hard as I can to get some stuff going, but we're probably going to stop at maybe 20 guns and a few swords and armor pieces. That way we're not overdoing that. After that, we're going to be working on basic industries, and when I say we mostly, I mean me. I'm going to be doing most of the coding. Grogger will be doing assets, and then DMod will be doing the server stuff. So we'll be doing Gradle scripts, build servers, release dates. He's the one that's mainly in charge of the release cycle, even though I do put some mods up on there. That's his main job. But I'll be working on basic industries. This will be a light touch-up. First iteration will be generators, so coal generator, fluid generator, basic crushers, grinders. When I'm working on this, I'm going to be working on assembly line as well, putting a couple automated machines in assembly line. First person in the basic industry will not have a lot of automated equipment in it. It'll have equipment that you can use but will require manually inputting and outputting. I know this sounds weird, but this is to encourage the usage of assembly line for automation. The two mods are tethered to each other. Assembly line was actually meant to be an add-on to basic industries, but I changed my thought process on that. So that assembly line is now standalone and basic industries will be standalone, ignoring the fact that you need Volts engine, which doesn't make it standalone. Armor will be released here the 2nd of December. The reason there's a gap between the week I'm working on it is so I can polish it and do a lot of checks on it. I'm basically going to probably set up a PvP server and let you guys shoot each other repeatedly. I'll be working on basic industries a bit more, so it'll be 2 weeks of basic industries and there'll be a release. Right before the week I release Volts, it'll be nothing but bug fixing and filling the blanks. I'll be working on a little bit of everything this week. It'll be literally anything and everything I needed to get done so I can release Volts Alpha. This will be an alpha version, expect instability. I'm going to try my best to get everything running, and this will be a 1.7.10 version. The expected update time for everything to be in 1.10 will be sometime before March. The goal is to get it done by March. So it'll be probably the month of January was when I'll start. A lot of the month of January will basically just be converting code, getting it updated, abstracting. I'll probably have the 1.8.1.9 version out that month. The following month, February, will be when I start working on the 1.10, and most of that month will be just updating the 1.10 code. It'll take me multiple weeks to update all this stuff to 1.10, and then by March I should have everything done. But don't hold that date as a solid date, because the problem with this stuff is I haven't updated many mods to the newer version. I've been letting a couple of my interns do this for me because they have the free time and I do not have the free time, which means I don't know if any of this stuff will update properly. Armory is probably going to take a huge hit on the updates because of how the new render system works, and some of these other ones are going to have problems rendering as well. And there'll be huge amounts of time just sitting there converting render code. Like the new rail system I just added has 32 different possibilities for textures. That means I need to make a JSON file which handles 32 different combinations. Won't be as hard, but it will be time consuming because I just simplified that code here shortly ago, so it was easier to work on, and I didn't realize that by doing that it's now going to make the JSON file harder to produce. But eventually I will get that JSON file out. The part of the plan right before we go to update the 1.8.1.9 is I'm actually going to implement my own custom version of the JSON render system that is used in 1.8.1.9 and 10. That way when I go to update to those versions, all I have to do is extend the existing system built into Minecraft to read my files, and then I don't have to touch anything. That should make the process go faster. If it goes faster, I can get the 1.10 version out before March. But the main goal right now is for the next couple months is I want to just get the content done. I want to get all the missiles I need to get done, the triggers, the detonators, the explosives. This includes the nukes, red matters, everything. I want to get everything done so Volts can be released. So this will be the 1.7.10 version of Volts. Then we'll work on the 1.8 version of Volts, the 1.9 version of Volts, and the 1.10 version of Volts. In other words, everything is tied to Volts right now. This is the organization's goal, is to get volts out the door. All the mods are going to tie into volts. So you'll see a lot of the content geared towards this gameplay before other gameplay. So if you want to make a really heavy survival map, you'll probably need to wait a little bit later, because some of this stuff is going to be geared towards PvP combat. And I apologize to that, but this is what the plan is right now. So that's the news mostly. Another thing to keep in mind, every day I'll be releasing on Imgur an article basically describing what went on there in this day, so you guys can keep up. I'll be doing the same thing here on YouTube, so there'll be a demo on YouTube. I won't be explaining as much on YouTube, but like what has gone on, what bugs did we encounter, stuff like that. Imgur is where I'll be explaining that. I'll also be putting maybe some more articles up on here, so I'm going to try to make this, I don't want to call it a blog, because I don't want to be talking about my personal opinion of everything, because that's not like what I like to do. But I will talk about what me and the rest of the organization are currently working on. That way you guys can keep more up to date and informed. QuantumWorks is also currently working on the site. I don't know when he's going to be done. We are trying to get him a computer. We had somebody donate some parts for him, so he is getting a little bit closer to having a functional PC. Right now he's basically using a I forget the name of them. I think they're Arduinos. He's using basically a $60 Arduino with a video port on it as his computer. It's impressive to think that he's done that, but that's what he's using to program the site right now. But the new site, I don't know when he's going to have that up. I wish I had a thing to show you here, but the new site's starting to look good. This is not the new site, this is the same old site, but we'll have stuff here. But anyways, that's been the news for today. I'll have some more videos out here later. Actually, really quick before I forget, I can show off the rail system. So I've already ported the rail system over to assembly line. This is what I did most of the day. It's the reason why I don't have any new content to show. I will be working on the robotic arm later today and a little bit tomorrow. And hopefully I'll get the robotic arm done tomorrow and I'll have the automation done. I'm still exploring how I'm going to handle the automation for ICBM. The plan right now is to use the existing table, but I'm starting to realize I want to add a crafting delay in the existing table to the new crafting delay. But as you can see, the carts are currently working as intended. The rail system does not depend on the ICBM carts. These are ICBM carts right here. These can only hold missiles. The rail system can now support any type of entity that is a cart. So another mod developer, if he really wants to come through, can now put anything on my rails, and they work. I do still need to work on the handling for all the different sides, but the code is mostly there now. It now does gravity checks to prevent the entity from falling. The logic is smoother. I have fixed a lot of issues. For example, when the entity cart would bounce up, that was because these rails were reporting they were 4.4 blocks tall, and this one was reporting 0.3. There was a lot of movement issues. The recenter on rail code was acting up. It kept trying to throw the cart off the rail and then back on the rail. That's the reason why they wobbled so much. It had nothing to do with the render code. So as you can see, if I move around, these move nicely. The rendering is a little bit sluggish still. I'm still working on this. This is because all the movement code is handled server side, and the client is having very little input on that. I'm going to adjust this. But as you can see, it is working pretty well. I'll have another tech demo out here later today when I finish the robotic arm, and more videos here later for you guys.